How to prevent tantrums. This is the first video in this series, and I'm starting with kind of the foundation of this, of preventing tantrums, and that is getting on a routine and a schedule, or using routines and schedules. So I know that the knee-jerk reaction to routines and schedules when we hear it is we hear controlling and lack of freedom and pressure. I get it. It is the knee-jerk reaction. And but I want to kind of open your mind to the other side of it, because the other side is actually freedom and grace and ease. When you have a plan, it helps out so much, not only for yourself, but for your little one as well. So yeah, when you implement these routines and these schedules, your child feels so much more at ease because they know you're at ease. You have a plan. It's not a matter of running and putting out one fire to the next fire and to the next fire. And I know that so many of us feel like that, and there's so much anxiety and pressure because we feel like we're just nonstop all day. So it's a matter of, yes, it takes a lot of work, it takes planning, it takes discipline, but if you are able to plan ahead and kind of go through structured and routines, you will definitely, down the end of the line, feel so much more peace and grace and ease in your life, and your child's behavior will improve, because a lot of times they feed off of our feelings, and they feel us anxious, and then they get anxious, and then it's just this vicious cycle. So I really want to, kind of entice you into what I'm going to be talking about, which is routines and schedules. So last week we talked about the prefrontal cortex, right? I just talked about it a second ago, and that's the part of the brain that's responsible for reason, judgment, and rational thought, right? And your child doesn't have the luxury of it until about the age of 25. So I really want to, get you to monopolize on this skill, to get you to be able to, start implementing and planning ahead with your prefrontal cortex, this lovely part of your brain that so many of us, don't use to the fullest ability. And routines and schedules, planning out and playing out scenarios can really help when you do it ahead of time, especially if, the last few videos I talked about being able to know the ABCs of your child's behavior, being able to know the types and functions of the behavior. So once you know those things, then you start to figure out these patterns. You start to see patterns not only in your behavior, but in your child's behavior as well. And when you start seeing these patterns, becoming aware of them, then that kind of empowers you to be able to start making plans, to start thinking more proactively of, well, if I know that every day when my child comes home from school, they just unload on me. They have a huge meltdown, they're whining, they're attached to me at the hip. If you start noticing that pattern, then you can be like, okay, what can I do more proactively? Maybe I welcome them and I greet them with a snack when I get to their school. Maybe I give them a lot of hugs and stuff as soon as I pick them up. Maybe I take a few minutes to talk to them and see how their day went and make them feel seen and heard, and to give them that attention proactively, so that, it's a lot more easy to come home and just, decompress. A lot of times kids will just emotionally vomit on us when they get home because they've been trying to keep it together all day, and they just come home and unload on us, and that's to be expected. But if you notice that pattern in your child's behavior, again, maybe you can try brainstorming proactive measures to be able to prevent, or at least take some of that edge off of that behavior in the first place. So that's just one example. So now we're gonna get to the nitty-gritty of routines. Why are routines important? So routines help children feel more in control of their lives, and they gain a sense of peace and calm when they know what's going to happen next. It's predictable. Most of us get a lot of comfort in familiarity and predictability. And when our schedule is thrown off, when our routine is thrown off, it kind of puts a wrench in our day, at least it does for me. So it's a matter of giving them that peace and giving them that control in their lives. And it also gives them kind of this pattern of behavior in which they know what's happening next. So guess what? They can help out now. They know what's going on. They can be helpful. They can be empowered in the situation. So not only are they, you know, I tell parents a lot of times, I compare it to a lot of times we take kids along like they're a wallet or a purse or some sort of accessory. And we really don't, you know, treat them as if they are, you know, an active participant, as if they are, you know, we don't keep them informed. And that is what's so important, because when we keep them informed, we ask them to be active in what's going on, then they feel more in control and they're less likely to act out and exert their control in inopportune ways, in inopportune times. So schedules are great because children thrive in structure and consistency in predictable environments, right? That's why, you know, schools are very structured and consistent, predictable. You know, it eases their mind up when they know what to expect and what's expected of them, so that they can just relax and learn and soak in that information and explore their world. So they are also more able to freely explore and learn. Yeah, so becoming, because it's safe and secure for them. So getting on a schedule will not only create a sense of predictability and consistency, but will also train your child's body for natural sleep times and meal times. So I think we've all tried to put a toddler to bed that was not tired, and that is virtually impossible. So, you know, or to feed a child that's not hungry, that's pretty hard too. So if we create these routines and these structures around mealtime, around bedtime, then it really does kind of set our child's physiological clock for those times, to be hungry at that time, to be tired at that time. So it really, really does help. So yes, life happens, you know, life happens. And as much as we try to do the structure and we try to do the consistency and we try to do the schedules, things will happen, and it's you know, just life, right? So we want to be able to teach our child that when these events happen, this is life. We have to learn how to be flexible and adaptable. And so you can really just take those moments and use them as teachable moments, use them as, you know, practical life experience for your child, and say, you know what, I get it. I get kind of frazzled and upset when my schedule is thrown off too, but you know what? We have to be flexible, we have to be adaptable, so this is what we're doing today instead. A lot of times you're gonna wanna go ahead of time, if you know ahead of time, and let them know, hey, I realize that we usually go home right after school, but today we're gonna stop by and get some groceries. So, you know, I'm just letting you know that that's what's going on. And just usually that will help out to ease a lot of the behaviors from arising. So yeah, and also we don't want to be so rigid and so structured. You know, I see parents a lot of times, well-meaning parents, that go to the opposite extreme, and they're very, very rigid and very, very structured with nap times, with meal times, and it's just like, it's almost excessive, you know, to the point of, you know, on those special days or the weekend or whatever, they're like, nope, we have to get home and we have to take the nap. It has to be that way. I used to be like that. Totally guilty here. But I think that's just first time mom stuff. But that is something that could be detrimental as well, as if we could teach our child to be so rigid and so structured that it could kind of backfire on us. So I want you guys to be aware of that as well. So that is kind of a wrap for that. I'm gonna, you know, if there's anybody that has any questions, or if you have any, you want to DM me with any questions after you watch this video, then definitely feel free to do so. I am here to support you. And next week we will continue the How to Prevent Tantrums series, and we're going to talk about sleep and diet. I know a lot of you just cringed, but it really, really does affect behavior. Your child's sleep and their diet can really affect behavior. So we will talk about that next week.